On another exciting episode of the Animation Deliberation podcast, we got some news to catch up on and a lot of put-ins to talk about. We're going to be talking about Harley Quinn Season 4, Episodes 4 through 6, right after these ads we have no control over.
Sing along if you know the words. A 1, 2, 3, it's time for Animation Deliberation. A conversation and a celebration of our favorite action animated series. Yeah.
Yeah, welcome back to another episode of Animation Deliberation, the podcast where we take action, animation, and cartoons seriously, but not too seriously. We're your hosts. I'm Zuhair.
And my name's J Scotty St. Clair.
And boy, do we got some catching up to do. How you doing, bud?
I'm good. I know I have no room to complain, and people are probably going to actively cancel me for this. But in the Bay Area, when it gets over 80 degrees, it starts to become swelteringly hot for us.
Aww.
And I'm struggling to deal with the heat.
That's so sad.
I know it's 100 plus in other parts of the state, much less the country. So.
Yeah, so we had 75 degrees yesterday and 80 today, and that was an unexpected low. So I've actually been in a good mood, and I haven't been dying at the end of the day because the sun hasn't tried to kill me. I even willingly went for a walk outdoors.
Yeah.
So what is your hell is my paradise?
Sure. Well, it's part of the blessing and the curse of living in this area. Usually we're blessed with such pleasant weather that 90% of the buildings don't have air conditioning because you just don't need it. You just open the windows. So when it does start to get a little bit hotter, it's crap. Thankfully I have an oscillating fan and whatnot, but last night was rough, trying to get to sleep and just I'm sweating.
Yeah, even the places with AC, they just can't keep up with it.
True.
And I'll be in Texas next week, so not looking forward to that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the humidity will have broken a little bit by then. But enough about me. How you doing, man?
Not too bad, man. Just another week of working.
All right.
It's been a nice stretch of not having to travel for almost a month, and now we're back on the plane.
Okay. All right.
So just enjoying the couch time while I can get it.
There you go.
But we're going to earn that couch time, or we're going to earn the couch time by talking some news. And the first bit of news that we have on the docket is something that I am very excited for and that I have many of thoughts on. We have a rumor/leak. This is not confirmed in any way. Let's make that very clear. Right. That Demon Slayer Infinity Castle arc will be adapted into a trilogy movie. What was your reaction to this?
Well, like you mentioned, it's not confirmed, so I have a little bit of healthy skepticism when it comes to it. But I honestly have to say that I really hope this is true and I think it makes a lot of sense as well. Thinking about how successful Mugen Train was in theaters, it was it pulled really, really good numbers, especially coming out on kind of the tail end of the pandemic. It kind of was one of the movies to kind of prove that people were ready to go back to see things in theaters. So to that end, yeah, Demon Slayer has been really, really great. I think the Swordsmith Village arc was, it had its highs and lows, but continued to be really impressive. But I just would really, I never got to see Mugen Train in theaters actually. So if I got to see the Swordsmith Village arc episodes that they put together in the theater, but yeah, if we get a trilogy of movies and they can just pour that budget behind it, I'm all in. How about you? How'd this news make you feel? I mean, you kind of preluded it by saying you were pretty excited.
Yeah, I saw Mugen Train in theaters 3 times. And even for something like Entertainment District, that was stuff that we had seen and people still swarmed to the theaters to go see that, right?
True.
So for us who don't read the manga, to know that this story is actually pretty short and potentially wrapping up soon, I think I would like it if the Hashira training arc was still a season and that there were slightly longer episodes. We could have episodes dedicated to characters, finding out more of these background stories and just learning everything that we need to know going into this. And then if it could be something like Spider-Verse where every year, we go to the movie and see this theatrical spectacle, I would absolutely love that to wrap up the rest of the story.
Yeah.
If that's indeed what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, if it is to believed, I think it could also pave the way for maybe adaptations we see in the future. They might not be that well suited for an anime series, and maybe we'll see more and more of these mangas be adapted
Hmm.
for like, you know, 1, 2, maybe even 3 movies. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, if Jujutsu Kaisen can pull it off, just throw in a movie that like kind of sets up the next season, then
Yeah, because I mean, this is not the first time we've seen, you know, anime movies in theaters. Like you mentioned, Jujutsu Kaisen, Zero, and then I think about like the number of Dragon Ball movies that have been in
hmm
theaters. I know One Piece recently had a movie in theaters, and then Hero Academia has had like 3 movies in theaters. But they always like, for the most part, Jujutsu Kaisen being the exception, and I think Demon Slayer being the exception. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but they tend to be like stories that kind of stand outside of what's going on with the ongoing series, and I'm kind of encouraged by the fact that like there's not this trepidation to just be like, hey, if you're following this story, you need to go see this movie in order to be caught up on everything. I think that's pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah. I mean, I think the manga is just kind of the best way to test the water, see what's working, what's not working, what you can expand on, and just make
Sure.
something awesome out of that.
Definitely. Definitely. All right. So that'll do it for the Demon Slayer rumor slash leak. Next up here, we have one that's kind of near and dear to my heart as a kid of the 90s. But Tiny Toons is making a comeback with Tiny Toons University, and they released a new trailer and a poster. And this series is set to make its debut on Max, with 10 episodes being available for streaming beginning September 9th. It'll also make its broadcast debut on Cartoon Network on Saturday, September 9th at 9 a.m. Eastern Time Pacific, uh, with new episodes debuting every week after. So I don't know if I have too terribly much to say. My expectations aren't like, you know, through the roof for this one, but I do have very fond memories of the Tiny Toons, and you know, worst case scenario, this just introduces a whole new generation to the
Hmm.
Tiny Toons, and Looney Tunes is like, you know, we talk about animation here, and we kind of specialize with action animation, but there is no denying like the impact that Looney Tunes have had on the landscape of cartoons and animation.
Yeah, you can't see how ruthless Bugs Bunny and Tasmanian Devil are and say that it's not action animation.
Fair, fair, yeah, yeah.
So I haven't seen the trailer or any promotion on this type of stuff yet. Is it? Are they still babies that are going to university, or is this like the
Not
Rugrats thing of them like growing up?
Well, they were never quite babies, but they are. They seem like they are like the same age. Like they're probably like, I would probably peg them around like 12 years old is the impression that I get.
Okay,
Yeah. So.
yeah, those were definitely fun series and everything. So this should be
Hmm.
entertaining.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
So the next thing on our docket is that the New York Film Festivals marks the U.S. premiere of Hayao Miyazaki's final film, The Boy and the Heron. Despite not having a marketing campaign in Japan, first images have made their way onto the internet ahead of the film's stateside release. Was not happy about that.
Yeah. Did you see the images?
Yeah, because like a few people like tried sending it to me, so I was trying like not to spin through the Instagram carousel, and then of
Gotcha.
course it just like popped up all at once, and I was like, well, so much for that. I am very jealous of the people that got to go into this movie blind.
Yeah, and honestly, this was kind of like my expectation. I was like, yeah, it makes sense that, you know, there's not going to be any marketing surrounding the Japanese release, but now that the movie's out and people have had a chance to see it, I thought surely we would get some kind of marketing campaign here in the United States. But I have seen like roughly 5 images. Thankfully,
Hmm.
I don't feel like they're super spoilery, but at least we still don't have a trailer. Like it's that's kind of like the saving grace here for me. And you know, I will say, without like spoiling what's contained in the images, you know, I actually just saw The Wind Rises as part of the Studio Ghibli fest that's going on. I saw it in theaters last night. Yeah, and I really liked it. I think it's kind of surprising coming off the heels of Oppenheimer, like how much
Hmm.
they have in common thematically. But what I'll say about these images is what kind of surprised me about The Wind Rises, and I liked it for this, is that it's probably Miyazaki's like most grounded and realistic film. Like, sure, it has
Hmm.
its like fantasy and dream settings and whatnot, but this one looks like more of a return to form. Is like based
Yeah.
on the images I saw, it kind of reminded me of like Spirited Away. I think was the one that I got the most vibes from.
Did you watch it in English or Japanese?
Japanese.
Okay.
Yeah, and they even do the thing. So I saw Princess Mononoke rather, a couple weeks back, as I know you did as well, and I saw this one, and the nice thing about like the re-release of these in theaters when they are available on streaming services, like the nice thing about catching these in theaters is that they do these special features after the credits roll where you get like 10 years of
Mm-hmm.
filmmaking with Miyazaki, so you get to see these behind the scenes, and it was actually really interesting. They watched, or they showed rather, the casting of the voice actor for the main character Jiro, and it's actually another animation filmmaker. It's I don't have the gentleman's name, but he's the director of Neon Genesis Evangelion, or Evangelion, however you say that.
Hmm.
And it was like just watching the process. They were like, "Yeah, this voice needs to be like kind of an unknown or whatever." And they're like, "Hey, what about this director?" And they brought him in and tested him, and he has no professional voice acting experience. They're like, "Yeah, you're it." And so it was cool to see that process.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right, and moving on to Adult Swim content, we officially have a premiere date for Rick and Morty Season 7. It's set to premiere October 15th at 11 p.m. Eastern Pacific Time. And the network also confirmed that the upcoming season will consist of 10 episodes, which is in line with the previous seasons. We got a teaser trailer last week, and I think the biggest part of all this news is the fact that Justin Roiland, who Adult Swim cut ties with earlier in the year amidst his domestic violence allegations, which he was eventually exonerated from. But they have replaced him with sound-alike voice actors. And having seen the trailer, I will say the voices are spot on.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was just one of the biggest concerns of, it's kind of a high bar to match up in this set. So if they find the right people, then awesome.
Yeah, and I appreciate them taking this approach because Solar Opposites season 4 has just it's available on Hulu as well, and they took a different approach. They also cut ties with Justin Roiland, but they brought in Dan Stevens to do the voice of Corvo, and I really like what Dan Stevens is actually doing and their explanation within the show. I won't spoil anything, but hopefully we can cover that in some capacity. One of my co-hosts on Multiverse News, Jay Sisson, has expressed some interest in covering that. So maybe we can do like a season review sooner rather than
Mm-hmm.
later.
Yeah, that could be cool.
Yeah. I guess as far as what we saw in the trailer, it just does seem to be rewarding those who have stuck with the series for a long time, because a certain character who is Rick's nemesis seems to be the thrust, is the conflict between Rick and his nemesis, and that's all I'll really say without spoiling too much there.
Bum bum bum.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Bruce Lee will appear in his own anime series, House of Lee, which is set to debut in 2024.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. Aren't too many details on this one. I tried to do some additional research to see what information could be gleaned, and there's not really too much out there. But I think Bruce Lee is one of the most celebrated martial artists and did a lot to influence the depiction of martial arts in film. And yeah, I think if anybody was deserving of an anime series, it's definitely Bruce Lee. So I will be definitely checking this one out when it hits.
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to support something like that,
Right.
especially because my teacher's teacher's teacher.
There you go. Wow. Yeah. It's like your great grand teacher then, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Great grand teacher Lee.
Yeah. All right. And we knew that Scott Pilgrim was getting a new anime series. Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, and we got a trailer for that. And this is set to hit Netflix in, I want to
November.
say November. Yeah, that's what I was going
Yeah.
for. I don't have the exact date. I wish I had it in front of me, but early to mid November. And this trailer was awesome. This trailer did exactly what it needed to do. It wasn't too long, but it showed how it's paying homage to the 2010 Edgar Wright film while also embracing the graphic style of the graphic novel. And it's just got that energy. So we know a large portion of the cast from the film is returning to voice, but I didn't hear any spoken dialogue other than the
Mm-mm.
drummer of the Sex Bombs did her like 1, 2, 3, we are Sex Bombs, and then from there it's just music, crazy visuals, and frenetic energy. So I thought it was a really great trailer in that sense.
Yeah, it's really all that you need in a teaser. It was colorful, it was dynamic. You see the names of the people that we're excited to see come back.
Mhm.
and it's honestly all I need to see.
For
Because I
sure.
also like I've never seen anything from the graphic novel,
Okay.
and I wasn't sure what to expect in sense of animation style. That's not what I was expecting, like the more bubbly looking characters, but I love every bit of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I own the first 2 volumes of the graphic novel, but, there's a lot out there that I haven't seen. Definitely seems like it's in keeping with that style.
So just a couple more pieces that we got here. Castlevania has finally made a trailer for season 5. They're calling it Castlevania Nocturne. The last few
Ooh,
seasons that we had was very heavy on. Oh my god, why am I forgetting that famous vampire's name all of a sudden?
Dracula?
Dracula. Thank you.
Okay.
I was just testing you.
Okay.
So yeah, they've been very heavy on Dracula and his story and this and that, but now we're moving more onto the Belmont family. It's got the same awesome looking animation, the same fight scenes, and of course the same gore. So it's going to be really dark, and if it's anything like the last 4 seasons, it's definitely going to be entertaining to watch.
Yeah. I actually haven't seen this trailer, but I'm not caught up on Castlevania, so, I guess the one thing I will say is, like, Netflix is putting out a lot of trailers right now because the Scott Pilgrim trailer was a Netflix trailer. We've got this
Mm-hmm.
trailer, and
Huh.
then I know outside of animation, Rebel Moon from Zack Snyder that recently got a trailer as well. So I think Netflix is like sniffing that award season is kind of around the corner, and they're like, yeah, let's
Mm.
put our trailers out.
And you're just like, dang, I got to renew now.
You know, I'm actually not even paying for Netflix right now.
Oh,
It's like,
nice. That works out.
yeah, yeah. But meanwhile, Hulu's raising their prices, Disney Plus are raising their prices. It's a Ponzi scheme.
Greedy.
Hopefully, some of that's going back to the writers and actors.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. All right. And then there is a Jujutsu Kaisen Shibuya trailer that actually have not seen as well.
Yeah, so without telling you too much, because I know you're going to catch up later,
Mm-hmm.
the first 5 episodes of season 2 was a Gojo flashback arc.
Mm-hmm.
Then they took a 2 week break and they dropped the trailer for this incident that I don't know too much of, but manga readers are ridiculously excited for this. Apparently, it's
Okay.
going to be dark and chaotic, and shit's just going to hit the fan. And they
Okay.
dropped a trailer for it, like a little teaser trailer today, because it comes out 1 week from the time of this recording,
Oh, okay.
and
Nice.
it's going to be interesting. They didn't have any subtitles in it, so I have no idea what they were saying, but
Okay.
visually, it just looks chaotic, and I'm all for it.
Okay. So Shibuya is just the second half of the season.
And by half, it's like 18 episodes.
Okay. Well, second part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not fully half. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
It's a very unfair pie.
Sure.
It's
Sure.
like here's your slice. I'll take the rest.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like
Who wants some
the
pie?
Gojo arc was like the soup and salad you get to whet your appetite. Now
Yeah,
the full meal's coming. Okay.
yeah. I don't know what dessert will be.
Sure. All right. Well, speaking of food and nourishing yourself, I think it's a good juncture to talk about our partner, Liquid IV. And, at the top of the episode, I was complaining of the heat and sweating, but Liquid IV is certainly a way to help you stay hydrated. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, and also there's plenty of times where it's like you feel like you're hungry, so you keep eating more snacks and you keep
Mm.
like binging yourself. Turns out you could just be dehydrated. It is 100
Mm.
degrees in plenty of parts of the country. Make sure that you're hydrated before you stuff yourself with unhealthy snacks.
True.
And let me tell you about some healthy things that come with Liquid IV. One stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficiently than water alone. The result of an extensive R&D process to perfect the flavor and efficacy. Liquid IV combines science-backed zero-sugar technology with the brand's commitment to delicious real flavor. No artificial sweeteners and zero sugar, with the proprietary amino acid allulose blend for a sweet taste without the calories or raised blood glucose levels you get from sugar. Contains 8 vitamins and nutrients for everyday wellness with 3 times the electrolytes of leading sports drinks.
It's also non GMO and free from gluten, dairy, and soy. Liquid IV believes that equitable access to clean and abundant water is the foundation of a healthier world. They partner with leading organizations to fund and foster innovative solutions that help communities protect both their water and their futures. To date, Liquid IV has donated over 39 million servings in over 50 countries around the world. And we've got a great deal for you. You can get 20% off when you grab your Liquid IV Hydration Multiplier, sugar-free, or any other variant at liquidiv.com and use the code STAYWHELMED at checkout. That's STAYWHELMED at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code STAYWHELMED at liquidiv.com.
Whether you're going on adventures, sticking with fitness goals, or trying to stay hydrated while talking through a podcast, Liquid IV
Yeah.
is for you.
We are in the dog days of summer here, so yeah. Don't want to be panting like a dog in heat, which, quick aside, I always heard that expression, the dog days of summer. And like I was like, what does that even mean? Like I know it means hot days towards the end of summer, but like what exactly does it mean? And upon some research, I found out that it actually like traces back to like ancient Greek and Roman times, where they would see that the star in the sky, Sirius, which is known as the dog star. If you know like Sirius Radio, they have the dog and the stars like their little logo.
Okay.
So the expression dog days comes from they thought that because the heat would cause the dogs to like go mad and whatnot, they were being influenced by the star. So it comes from an expression dies caniculares, which is dog days. And over time, it just became like the dog days of summer. So I didn't know you were going to get a little history lesson today, but I had to throw that one in there.
Yeah, I've been playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey too, so I'll pay more attention to those dogs as the sun's starting to set in the game. Just look up at the sky like, where
Nice.
is it? Where is it?
Nice.
So if
Very
we're
good.
still running these ads in the wintertime, are we just going to make like Liquid Heavy popsicles to talk about?
Sure.
Just let
That'd
them
probably be
freeze
pretty
outside
tasty.
overnight.
Yeah.
Actually, we should
I
do that in
mean,
the summertime too.
for sure.
Throw
I
some in
think,
the
yeah.
freezer real quick.
There you go. Yeah, we'll talk about that next week.
Sounds refreshing.
Yeah. All right. So we've gotten the news out of the way. We have talked about our partner at Liquid IV. Let's talk about some Harley Quinn. And just want to throw a little disclaimer here. We're talking about episodes 4 through 6 of season 4. And at the time of this recording, episode 7 just dropped, but neither one of us have had the opportunity to see it rather. So we will talk about that when we do our next 3 episodes in the coming weeks, and then we'll probably cover the finale and the season as a whole for our final
What
week,
a
unless we get a
tease
bunch of
put in.
feedback. Say again.
What a tease put in.
Yeah. All right. So we will kick things off with season 4, episode 4, titled "The First Person to Come Back from a Business Conference Without Chlamydia." What a title! What a title! So, Ivy goes to Malcon, a supervillain convention on the moon, where she expects to hold a panel, but Luther only wants her to give an opening speech for his presentation. On Talia's advice, she decides to build new business connections anyway, impressing many villains in the process with her ideas, including Steppenwolf. As Luther holds his presentation, he realizes everyone is more interested in Ivy than him, which frustrates him into calling off the convention by destroying his lunar base. Meanwhile, due to Talia cutting the Bat family's budget, Harley teaches them how to fight without weapons and rents out Wayne Manor to Scandinavian tourists to make money. Upon discovering the Scandinavians want to rob the manor, they successfully use Harley's teachings to stop them. After Harley sells some of Ivy's belongings on the internet, some of her belongings, I like how vague they are. We all know it was her panties. Uh, Exploiting her newfound fame, the Bat family is able to repurchase their equipment. As they check on the Batcave security footage, they miss the feed displaying Harley sleepwalking and wreaking havoc in the manor during the night.
I can't necessarily explain why, but Nora seems to be my new favorite character.
For
Or
sure.
my favorite new character.
Yeah, she definitely has a vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, she's just like so laid back and she's like, all right, you need this, but like she's still like lazy too. So it's like she gets
Yeah.
stuff done, but like doesn't really have stakes into how she does it.
Right.
But all the jabs at billionaires by making this rocket look like a penis on its way out was
Oh, yeah.
hilarious. I lost it on all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that was great. Like in seasons past, we've seen some pretty raunchy stuff like orgies and whatnot like that. But
Not that
this
was
was
lacking.
this was, I mean, this was great. You have the giant dildo that's like ready to fly into space. It even has orbs that look like balls, and then they
It's
have
like,
like
why
the
does it have
antennas.
pubes?
Yeah, they're like, "What's up with the pews?" It's like, we need the antennas to be around the balls. I mean, orbs. And then while it's taking flight, it spins around just to release its steam. And Nora says, like, the sky's getting pregnant tonight. Yeah. Uh, and I love the namesake of the episode as well, because it was that conversation between Ivy and Nora when they were on their way to that rocket. And
Hmm.
I just kept thinking of like all this talk about like chlamydia and like how basically everybody that goes to a business conference has chlamydia. I was like, so okay, so everybody is basically a koala, because like that's what koalas are known for. Apparently, like every koala on the planet has chlamydia.
The way that this Legion of Doom is, I would not be surprised if there was a koala sex party up on the moon.
Right? Yeah.
But I guess like having sex yourself is overrated. The way that Luther and Talia were just
Yeah.
commanding other people what to do.
Right. Yeah.
Did I
That
say
was
take off the cape?
yeah. I had a wedgie.
I
Yeah.
was not expecting Superman to be there either. I think that's the
Yeah.
first time we've seen him in this show.
Other than like the background, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that threw me off.
it took me a while to figure out that like that was Clark. I
Oh,
didn't
I
realize
caught
it
it
at
right
first.
away. I
Oh,
was
did you?
like,
Okay.
no, no. And then he was like, I work for the Daily Planet. I was like, no!
Yeah. Yeah.
You have
And
my adventures with Superman coming out tomorrow. Do not put a bad taste in my mouth.
yeah. Yeah. He did have a nice little arc there though, where it was like first the coffee hit him, then the toilet wine hit him. I'm trying to remember what else, but it was. I liked how they explained it. It was like, oh, Lex has this whole place like lined with trace amounts of kryptonite, so that's why
Yeah.
everything's like hitting him for the first time.
It looked like Lex like injected it into himself too.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't catch
I
that.
mean, there was so much stuff happening with like all the pampering that he was getting.
Yeah,
But like early on, there was one point where one dude put like a needle in his neck, and you see like his veins kind of turn green for a second.
nice, good catch. Okay.
And just because it was Lex, when I saw green, I figured he was just getting like a kryptonite infusion.
Oh, for sure. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I guess if he bleeds, then like it just gets onto Superman's hand, and I don't know.
Interesting. Okay. The other thing I liked about this episode is like it's a convention for villains, and Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg both showed up, and it's like it makes me wonder like what the like this show had to be working on this show like well in advance, but like in the news, it's been that everybody's been talking about like this cage match between Mark Zuckerberg and Elon
Yeah.
Musk. So for both of them to, I think Mark Zuckerberg got worse treatment than Elon Musk in terms of Ivy just like loosing him into the sky, and then later on in the episode they're like hashtag where's Mark.
Where
He's
was
gone.
Elon in this? I don't think I caught that.
He was sitting at a panel, and then Ivy like used her vine to like
Oh, that
pull
was
him up out of
him.
the chair. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay, that's funny.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can say for all of these episodes, there's just so much going on. It's just like really, like even during the convention, like I was trying to look at all the panels and like try to pick up on like little Easter eggs and stuff. It was too overwhelming. I would like lost track of it all.
Yeah, yeah. And I just think, given our kind of conversation, I do think Ivy's arc was a little bit stronger than Harley and the Bat families in this episode. I mean, it was it was funny to see the Bat family struggle without their funding and whatnot, and have to like go toe to toe with some Scandinavian guests, especially
Drugged up Scandal.
Jonas. And Jonas was correcting everyone on the pronunciation, but the last time Nightwing said it, he was like, "Oh, a beautiful pronunciation," and then proceeds to knock him out. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. Like I get that it's a comedy, but like I was like low key offended that you would think the Bat Family wouldn't be able to like fight without their weapons,
sure, sure, I get
especially
that.
when it was something as simple as sticks and ninja stars. Like, come on, dude,
Yeah.
you guys, you guys don't use guns for a reason. It's because you're efficient with your hand to hand combat. So
Right.
it's one of those things. Like I get they were going for humor, but just as a fan, I'm just kind of like, really, you're going that far with it,
Mhm, mhm. Yeah.
especially when Batgirl. I mean, I know I'm going ahead, but when Barbara proceeds to just beat the living daylights out of the whole freaking Legion and Doom.
Oh,
So
right.
it's like we know they're more than capable. Come on.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I mean, it's just part of the show, like, they
Yeah.
they take the gas out of everybody, like, we saw it with Lex, like, we didn't really talk about it, but he
The
gets
steam out of
so
everybody.
yeah, the steam what yeah, yeah.
Ayo.
Right. But, yeah, he's, like, so frazzled by the fact that, Ivy's stealing the attention that he, like, blows up his own calves, it's like
How'd you like Steppenwolf?
Oh, Steppy, let's get Java. Yeah, he was great. He was great. Yeah.
Such a dynamic entrance. I was just like, man, these live action movies really need to take notes from these writers.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
God, the dog's just going around chopping people's heads off.
Right. Yeah.
Like, who's gonna stop him?
For
Not
sure.
that
For
villain.
sure. Yeah.
Starro has been getting a lot of light lately.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely featured prominently in the background, just kind of plopped onto the dome of the moon, and then you see he had several
He
like
had like a panel.
oh yeah, yeah. And then I was thinking of like the enthralled people that he had on like
Mm-hmm.
his little mini versions of himself stuck to their face just throughout the convention.
Yeah, I think at the
That's what
panel it's sorry, I think at the panel it said something along the lines like join Starro for free. It's like free, fun, and safe.
okay, I didn't
And they were
catch
just
that.
like, like making the pitch on like put it like there's like two recruiters with like Starros on their faces and they were like handing
Oh,
the little
nice.
minions out.
Well, I think that's the thing about this. I think this episode I would benefit from a rewatch too because I think there's just so many things going on in
Yeah.
the background in terms of like just the sheer number of villains we see plus like little background gags like that. Like yeah. It was fun.
Yeah. That was definitely where I got overwhelmed. The attention to Dick's butt is hilarious. And
Oh
I
yeah.
love the relationship between Talia and Damien.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
I know this was on one of the other episodes, but it's like, what type of pacifier do I need for myself? Like, along the
Yeah.
lines of just being too old for one.
Yeah. And he gets a silver rattle for his
Yeah.
birthday. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. And then I can't remember like what exactly the context was, but he was like I can't remember exactly how he said it, but he's like, I hate being poor or something like that, or like I
Yeah.
can't pour. He worded it in a funny way where it's just
Yeah.
like he's so clearly out of touch and just a little spoiled brat. All right, we want to move on to episode 5.
Yeah. Season 4, episode 5, Getting Ice Dick. Don't Wait Up. Harley undergoes LASIK surgery carried out by Supergirl to improve her efficiency in night missions. She calls Barbara to pick her up, but instead is met by her roommate, Alyssa Yo,
Sure.
who found Barbara's phone. Nightwing informs Harley and Barbara that Barbara went missing, but refuses to let Harley help find her due to his mistrust of her. Meanwhile, Luther assigns his PR team, the Johns, to manage Ivy's career, and they convince her to boost her social media activity to gain more followers. As a result, Ivy begins to neglect her relationship with Harley and her mentees, Tara Volcano and Tefe Holland.
Tuffy. Yeah.
Teffy. It's the accent that threw me off.
Mm-hmm.
Harley locates Barbara in the mountains and goes there with Alicia to save her, only to learn that Barbara went there to bring her mother home from their family cabin after Gordon rushed back to Gotham to accept a security job at the Legion of Doom. Harley bemoans that she gave up everything from her previous life to join the Bat Family, yet still does not feel accepted, though Barbara assures her that it takes time. Later, they find Nightwing's dead body, which shocks them both.
Mm-hmm.
R.I.P. Dick.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be curious to see where that thread goes, and we'll talk a little bit about it in the next episode. But I have my doubts and my suspicions about whether or not Nightwing's actually dead for the long term. But the show, you know, has not been precious about any of like you know these DC characters that have been mainstays for a long time. They've definitely killed
Yeah.
people off, so it could be in the cards. But I will say, Dick definitely lived up to his name in this episode. He was a dick. Like
Yeah.
he was like, Barbara, Damien, and I are a family. You're just Harley.
Yeah.
And I did. I loved Harvey Guillen, who voices Nightwing. I loved his delivery when uh, Harley was talking about going to get LASIK, and he's like, you shouldn't have wasted your time, like with self care or anything like that. He's like, I've had an ingrown toenail for 6 years,
Oh
and I
my
haven't
god,
even,
that made me cringe so hard.
I haven't changed the bandage. You want to see? It's disgusting. The way he said that was,
They still show the toes. Like, ew, come on, man. I gotta eat now.
yeah, yeah,
Stop talking while fighting.
right. Yeah. Uh, I did think it
Yeah,
was pretty great that Supergirl was the one that did the LASIK with her eyes. Like
yeah.
that's just classic right there.
That's what I was wondering. I was
Um,
like, is she known for being an optometrist, or this is how they threw her in
just
here?
just a side hustle. Yeah.
Nice. I dig it.
I guess Metropolis rent is getting pretty ridiculous. Even Supergirl's got to have a side hustle. But
Makes sense.
the other thing that kind of stood out to me about this episode is, so it didn't get mentioned in the synopsis, but we saw Joker kind of make his first steps towards his return to villainy, which we will
Hmm.
talk about more in the next episode. But he had that exchange with the guy that took care of the lawn, and he's like actively just pulls up his phone again while he's talking to this guy. But then at the end of the episode, he blows him up. And
Yeah,
I
because he
thought,
has FOMO from not being at the convention.
right, yeah, coming off the last episode, right, and he was accosted by Two Face. Uh, so I'm wondering, in terms of like the writing and the themes and whatnot, like we have Harley doing this like sleepwalking and whatnot, and Barbara's roommate mentioned that like maybe it's because she's repressing her villain side, and she talked about how much of an inspiration was Harley was to her, and I think we got the revelation that this character was trans, and that like Harley inspired her and motivated her to be her true self, and
Hmm.
helped her make that transition. So I do kind of wonder if it like would make sense as the Joker's returning to villainy. Maybe Harley will embrace her more, you know, villain tendencies, but I do like her as an anti-hero. I just don't know if having her be a part of the Bat family is exactly the right fit. So
Yeah.
it could be, with the Joker coming back into the fold, being evil, maybe she will say enough is enough and have to like take matters into her own hands and call her own shots and not be beholden to the Bat family's rules.
Yeah, because every time she gets into a scrap, like she's messing dudes up too. It's almost
Hmm.
like that Batman meme where it's like, I'm not going to kill you, but the hospital bills will.
Yeah, right.
She's fully embracing that.
Yeah, yeah. And then I felt bad for Gordon's wife being stranded in the mountains, but I felt worse for the Cold Boys. They were just having their
Oh
annual
yeah.
Cold Boys reunion, and they got the shit beat out of them by
It
Harley.
was so funny that they were all in like swim trunks and had like the pool chairs and everything out, like they were at
Yeah,
the beach.
yeah, yeah. So I recognized Captain Cold. I recognized Icicle Junior.
That was
Uh,
it for
I
me.
th- I think it was Weather Wizard was supposed to be the guy with the crown, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong,
Mm,
but I did not know who the robot was
yeah, I
for
hadn't seen him
sure.
before.
Okay, interesting. If you know who they were, write in and tell us. Otherwise,
Andre.
maybe TJ. Maybe TJ. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that. Well, I guess we could talk a little bit about Ivy's mentees. Like we've seen Tara in Young Justice, and if I'm not mistaken, she showed up in Titans.
Teen Titan. Well,
Yeah, Teen Titans for sure. But does she show up in the live action Titans?
I'm not caught up on that, so maybe she
Oh, you're
has,
not.
and I
Okay, my
didn't
bad.
know.
My
Yeah,
bad. Yeah. Okay.
that'd be cool to
But
see her though.
yeah, yeah, for sure. But I was not familiar with Volcana or Tefi or Tefe.
Yeah.
But I think it was Nora that said like, "Don't think you're going to get any special treatment just because I boinged your dad." So I'm like, is in the DC canon, like in the comics, is there actually a child from Swamp Thing and Mister Freeze's former wife? Is that a thing?
I don't know, but yeah, I
Okay.
didn't know what to think of that. It was just
Yeah.
I just love her attitude.
Yeah. 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 For sure.
But damn, did that get dark?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And that's saying something for this show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, trying to think if there was anything else for this episode, but
I do want to say that I love
yeah.
Harley's bat uniform.
Yeah.
That was a nice twist on just kind of like bringing those two worlds together. I wish her bat kind of matched it though.
Mm.
Which, bat family,
Yeah,
bats.
yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, we're the Bat family.
So I
Yeah.
kind of wish he changed the colors on that too. But I do love the way that outfit looks.
All right, cool. Anything else you want to say about episode 5?
Mm, no, I think I'm starting to get them mixed up a little bit. So I'm just gonna
Okay.
kick them
All
out
right.
because there's stuff I want to say
Yeah,
about the
well
next one.
yeah, we'll go ahead and move on here to episode 6, Metamorphosis. Following Nightwing's funeral, Harley, Batgirl, and Robin split up, reducing the chances of them being killed as well. Returning to Catwoman's apartment, Harley learns about her sleepwalking from Frank after he witnesses it. Lucius locates Nightwing's tracker at the Legion of Doom's headquarters, leading Barbara to conclude that Ivy is behind the murder, which Harley refuses to believe. Meanwhile, Ivy, Ivy realizes the Johns are manipulating her public image, so she decides to take them down with Tara, Volcana, and Teffy's help. Teffy, maybe. She acts publicly disturbing at a children's beauty pageant she is hosting, purposely angering the Johns, who morph into one giant individual and try to destroy Ivy. Using their abilities combined, rather, Ivy and her mentees defeat and kill the Johns. Afterward, the Joker arrives at the Legion of Doom, announcing his return to villainy and that he is Nightwing's killer, much to Barbara's anger. While the Legionnaires, including Ivy, celebrate him, a shocked Harley notices an alternate version of herself winking at her from the crowd.
The baby sharks! Ah!
yeah, yeah, good
I
call.
was like, no, what's gonna happen to little babies?
yeah, that was good.
I do like their team name, the Natural Disasters.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah,
That's good.
that's pretty sweet. Yeah,
But I was so scared for the little dudes.
oh, for sure.
I was like, King Shark just want to be a little happy daddy. If you want to kill him now, I'm gonna riot.
Yeah. I, for one, was a little surprised that Joker ended up being who killed Nightwing or supposedly killed Nightwing. I'm still on the fence about the permanence of that, but I kind of thought they were planting the seeds that Harley was the one that did it with her sleepwalking. So,
especially with the friendship bracelet being on.
Yeah, good call. Good call.
Because like it was yellow, like it stood out when he was sitting there on the branch. So I was wondering, like, it was just weird the way where he ended up.
Right. Yeah, on a tree. Yeah.
Yeah, and she had
And
said that she fell asleep in Barbara's room for like 8 hours.
oh, right. Yeah. With the Gordon 2014 family reunion shirt on.
Mm-hmm. And they already had her phone. They already ran. So what if like she knew, then fell asleep, and then woke up, and then forgot that she knew, or found out like while she was sleeping, went, did that, came back.
Yeah, I'm starting to get like nightclub or not nightclub, Fight Club vibes because like she sees that alternate version of herself in the crowd, and then it wasn't in these sets of episodes, but it was in the first 3 episodes. I remember she saw like the Harleen Quinzel version, like the therapist of
Mm-hmm.
herself in the mirror, which she's had interactions with in the past, but in this one she like kind of flaked on her and like ran off. So I'm wondering if like this repressed version of herself is coming out when she's sleeping.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, King Shark. He definitely had a nice little side adventure there with Gordon, and I'm not a father, but I can appreciate the fact that like he gets a second to take a shit and he enjoys it so much that I'm gonna make I'm gonna force it.
His excitement.
Yeah. I will say I've been enjoying the season, but I have been missing our regular like mainstays like King Shark, Clayface,
Mm-hmm.
Doctor Psycho he hasn't been around as much since like season 2 or so, but you know,
Oh,
kind of missed
Harley
it.
comparing the Bat family to them too.
Right. Who was it? It was Barbara was King Shark,
Dick was
Clay
Clayface because he's
because
so
he's
dramatic.
yeah, drama queen, yeah, and then I guess that makes I think she called Robin Psycho if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken. Okay,
yeah, Davey the Psycho.
right.
But that being said, it was great seeing Frank in a whole episode. Him and his
Oh
sassy self.
yeah, good old JB Smoove voicing Frank.
I think it was this one when he said that he was there to visit us, or he was gone to visit a sick sister. It's like, you
Mm-hmm.
didn't even see me gone for 3 days. We didn't know she was over water. We didn't know she was underwater. Oh, hey, can you sign the book for her? My sister's name is not Zazzy. We do not have a Zazzy in the family. This is delivery
that's
on everything.
that's
He
great.
could be reading like children's lullabies, and I'd just be cracking up. I love it.
Yeah. He's good. He's really good. Yeah. I really I did like I liked where we ended up with the PR team of the Johns. Like I did not see that coming from a mile away. The fact that they would morph into like a giant kaiju, but the way they were influencing Ivy and causing her to neglect her mentees, I thought it was pretty nice to see them get their comeuppance and
Oh
in
my
a
god,
pretty
the fact that they
brutal
were
way.
getting turned on in the conference room by all the PR terminology.
Oh
And they
right,
started like making out with each other and humping the desk and stuff. I was like, what
yeah,
the hell is
that was
going on?
wild.
That was just kind of like, I get a little cringe there. Dial it back.
Yeah, and I find myself wondering again, like we talked a little bit about Tefe. Is she like an original character for the show? And
Hmm.
for these guys, I'm leaning a little bit more to where I think that's the case, but I do kind of wonder if they were supposed to be like adapted from some B list or C list or D
Yeah.
list DC character that I don't know about.
Or it could be something like Terra, where it's like you just take a little bit of something and just mix other people into it.
Oh, you know what? Actually, incoming theory, incoming theory. So I talked about how I'm not sure if Nightwing's actually dead or not. I'm wondering because all these guys, these Johns, were basically identical. Like the only thing they did differently was like they styled their hair differently, they dressed differently, or they had like different facial hair or whatnot. So,
And the shoes.
and the shoes, of course, the shoes. But there was in the last episode, there was this instance where Gordon was like living in the Legion of Doom's lobby, and he went
Hmm.
to make himself a potato, and like it came out cold with a hair on it, and he threw it away. But when he went back to the microwave, there was another one in there, and that like got my brain, the cogs kind of turning about like, oh, is there going to be like some cloning through line? Because I think these guys might be like clones. I don't know about the fact that
Yeah.
they can like morph in and like become a giant version of themselves, but I like I said, I just have a
Mighty
hard
Morphin
time
John
believing that.
Rangers.
What's that?
Mighty Morphin John Rangers.
Oh, I thought you said Jonathan Majors at first. I was like, what? But yeah, I find myself thinking that like duplicates or clones
Hmm.
or something is going to factor in.
Yeah, because Nora said that's either a microwave or a cloning device. I'm not sure.
That's
And
okay.
then there was a when he took the potato out, you could see the brand in the microwave say Lexiclone.
That's okay. I forgot her line. So and yeah, okay, I'm glad you brought that up because that's what took my mind down that path. I completely forgot about that line, but I knew something
Yeah,
caused me to think that. And I think yeah,
yeah. So
maybe
there
the
was
hair.
branding there
Yeah,
too, but I didn't think anything
yeah.
higher of it in regards to Harley. So that is pretty interesting.
Mm. Oh yeah, I actually didn't consider the fact that Harley may have a clone too. Oh yeah, I think it was a blonde hair on the potato too. So interesting.
That grew pretty quick. If that's the case,
Yeah. Well, talking
I
about
guess the
Tefe
Johns ones.
again, if they are in fact, Nora and Swamp Thing's child, they grew pretty quickly too. But they it's just coming back to me now, but we know that like Swamp Thing and Ivy have access to this thing called the green, but Tefe I mentioned having
The red.
access to something called the red where they could control animals, and they talked about like bringing in sharks to like repopulate and also ruin everyone's summer. So a la Jaws, yeah.
Yeah, that was entertaining.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
Um,
interesting. Like overall, like I'm whelmed with this
sure.
show. Like I enjoy watching it, but I don't go out of my way to watch it, if that makes
Sure.
sense. But
Yeah,
then when I talk about it, like stuff like this just cracks me up. So I
for
think it
sure.
really is like it's like one of those shows I just have to be in the mood for, you know?
Oh, definitely, definitely. And like, yeah, when it first came out, I think before I ever watched the first episode, I think so. I can't remember how it was released initially. I don't know if they've always done this like week to week release, but the first season was definitely available in its entirety when I first started watching it. And I think season two came out almost immediately afterwards. So,
I remember.
oh, yeah, what you got?
It was when DC Universe was a thing before it was part of
Oh, right.
HBO.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
This came soon after Titan season one. So it was like Titan
Mm,
season one, then Harley Quinn, then Doom Patrol, and then Young Justice
hmm.
continuation. I think that was like the first year slate of their original series.
Yeah, yeah.
All bangers, by the way.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Yeah. Okay.
Did you ever watch the
Okay.
live action Swamp Thing?
I did not.
It got canceled, but that one season was really good. Like I was happy.
Okay.
Like even if they just wrapped it up right there instead of the cliffhanger, I would have been like, "This
Yeah.
is great. Like this was a fantastic story."
Isn't isn't James Gunn, didn't he say like Swamp Thing was gonna be supposed to be a part of his like phase one for the DCU?
Wouldn't surprise me.
I think so. I think so.
But with you being
Um,
a horror and mystery guy and everything, you'll enjoy that once
okay.
you Swamp Thing.
I had heard mixed things about it, and I think the fact that it got canceled maybe discouraged me a little bit, but you're not the first person that I've heard kind of sung its praises, so I'll have to go back
So
and
it
check
was
it out.
really dumb. It was that they used North Carolina for the filming of this,
Right.
and there was a miscommunication between the tax benefits.
Right.
So they recorded everything and they were just like, no, 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 this is how the tax stuff works. And they were like, oh shit, we overspent. It's safer for us to cancel the show and figure out the financial future. It literally all came down to money. It had nothing to do with the
That's a
quality of the
shame.
show. It was
That's a
really,
shame.
really dumb.
Yeah, that's too bad. Because I know a fair amount of filming had taken place in North Carolina. I know they shot like the Hunger Games. The first movie was like largely shot in North Carolina
Yeah.
because it's a less expensive place to film other than California. So, but no, you kind of talking about this show just being kind of like not something you like eagerly await, but something that's like nice to just kind of sit down when you're in the mood. We were talking before we started recording, but it's been really nice for me on the weekends. I get to watch My Adventures with Superman, then I kind of follow it up with Harley Quinn. It's nice to get that like
Mm,
double dose of DC, one that's being very earnest and is still lighthearted and funny, but then you got this one that's just like
yeah.
tonally like the exact opposite, like super crude and like pulling the rug out from a lot of these characters. But
Hmm.
with the mention of My Adventures with Superman, I do want to let people know our coverage of that is continuing. As we had mentioned previously, we're just breaking it up into like 3 episode chunks. So we should be doing our next recording next Monday, talking about
Hmm.
episodes. What are we on now? 6, 7, 8?
7 through 9. Yeah.
Oh, seven through, is it 7 through 9? Yeah, yeah, 7 through 9.
I think it's 7 through 9, and then we're gonna do episode 10 and
Right.
just a seasonal review together.
Yeah. Yeah. And not to betray too much, but I am incredibly excited to talk about episode 7.
Is it the one that just dropped?
No, it was the week prior with Mixia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That was one that could definitely be an episode on its own.
Yeah, I was kind of tempted. I almost like hit you up. I was like, should we just talk about this one on its own? All right.
Yeah, we're
Any
definitely on content overload. I like
for sure.
this system that we're doing of just
Yeah.
putting it up into chunks, so it's not like we have to take too much time out to do like just 20-minute episodes. I feel like we're
Hmm.
covering a good chunk of content, and there's not shortage of anything coming out. So
No.
things like our Ahsoka primer, our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle feedback. If you've gotten around to watching those things, please check out those episodes because we're just trying to hit as much stuff as we can for you guys.
Yeah, yeah. I highly encourage everyone to go back and check out the Rebels recap / Ahsoka primer that Zuhair and Haley Hobbs from Source Pages did. The first 2 episodes of Ahsoka are available, and this is not a podcast to talk about that, but even not having watched Rebels, I really enjoyed it.
That's all I'll say.
All right. I think it's that time to get out of here. Is there anything else you want to let the people know about Zuhair?
Football season is coming back around, so my regular appearance on 323 with Reed Murphy is about to continue.
Mm-hmm.
They're back from their little summer hiatus, so be sure to check that out if you ever want to hear me talk about sports stuff or
Okay.
just us being goofy. Because as usual, I'll burst out into laughter for some reason or another whenever I'm on that show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aside from that, check us out here.
Cool. Yep. I encourage you to check out all our social medias. Find us on Facebook. Recommend us to your friends. Give us a review. Send us in some feedback. You can do that at animationdeliberationpodcast@gmail.com. And you can also find me on Multiverse News every week, or most weeks anyway. And I also had the opportunity to appear on Bill and Ashley's Terror Theater to talk about Talk to Me. And that was a really great horror movie. So I was excited to talk about that. And you can check that out wherever you get your podcasts. So as always, really appreciate everyone for listening and keep tuning in. That's TOONIN.
And as always, stay whelmed. Thank you for listening to the Animation Deliberation Podcast, a proud member of the Stranded Panda Network. If you would like to contact us, you can email animationdeliberationpodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter @animationdelib1. For this and other great shows, you can visit strandedpanda.com or join the great community that is the Stranded Panda Chat Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/svchat. Tune in next time, and remember, stay whelmed.